Welcome back to the KIKAO session. We talked about a number of things, very important things, and the connection between the global crisis and the current situation of food insecurity and poverty in Africa. We talked about other phenomena like climate change, like pests and etc. And even technologies and other factors like knowledge which could change the agricultural practices and increase productivity. And all those are things that we need to inject into our agricultural system so that we can reduce all those impacts. But from the lessons we learned from the current situation to what we desire, food security, nutrition security, poverty reduction with job creation, etc. What are the key actions that we would take, key action that we would really implement to caution the continent, African continent, against all these impacts of global and local crises which happen across the world?
Thank you. Actually, this conversation reminds me of a big study I was privileged to be part of. This big study was conceived in the perfect way, that we bring all these things we are putting together and improve the production of maize and legumes in Eastern and Southern Africa. And this study was conceived in a way that we brought in together our own scientists, breeders. They tried in all these countries we worked in different climatic zones. And they brought in legume seeds and maize seeds for farmers depending on their climatic areas. And they also had that they thought about sustainability of access to these inputs, and they partnered with the private sector, the suppliers of seeds. So they were part of that, ensuring that what they do, farmers will be able to access the same in the future. And they partnered with agricultural extension officers to ensure that the farmers in the study areas had the right information and had the right guidance in terms of agronomy, because there are also agronomists in the team. And they partnered with extension workers who worked from farm to farm, having demo farms. I remember we visited demo farms in all these countries to ensure that everything is being done perfectly in 7 countries in Africa, from Ethiopia all the way to Zimbabwe, and also Mozambique. We work in Mozambique as well, in about all that region. It was quite an ambitious program. I came in in the final stages of the evaluation stages, and you're looking at all these processes. What happened? The farmers accessed the right seeds. They accessed the right
stewardship.
Yes. What happened? Productivity increased. At that particular time, maize production, legumes, cowpeas increased all across the region. It was a success story in terms of increasing productivity. But now what happened? In Tanzania, in that particular time, there was a policy by the president that there is no more exports of maize to Kenya, because you know there was that policy that is no exports. At that particular time, the price of maize went down to 20 Kenya shillings. Farmers, that is way below the production cost. Even if you look at all these efforts were done. In other places, again, when you went to Tanzania that particular time, Tanzania and some parts of Kenya, they were like, what do we do with this harvest? Where do we take it? So it all boiled down to markets. What do farmers do with this? We are aware of the dengue revolution just the other day in Kitui in Kenya, whereby farmers, they were told there's going to be markets also in the country, and they trusted that message that they're going to be selling a kilo of dengue at about 100 shillings because of some external arrangements that their leaders were making. Those did not fall through. What happened? So incentivize farmers.
Yes.
Show the farmers where the money is, and these things will sort themselves out.
So link absolutely the production to the market so that money can be in the pocket of the farmer.
Exactly.
It will motivate them to produce more.
Incentivize. Where is the money?
Bring the technology and the knowledge and be with them, work with them to produce. Ambassador, I will come to the after. She is talking of the market, and at the continental level, there is this opening of the continental market. Yeah, if it is implemented, it means I can have my maize from Kenya and go and sell it somewhere in Malawi, in Egypt even, or south to. How do you see that playing that role of creating the incentive to the farmers from wherever, but at the continental level before we cross the border?
No, this is critical and is so powerful. And really the free trade market, it's a big opportunity that again as a continent we should really take advantage of it. And I like and I agree with the Toto that real access to the market, giving the opportunity for farmers to really access the market so that they can really increase their income and of course, meet their needs is really very important. As FAO, actually, most of the programs that we implement in Kenya we have this component that we have really to link the farmers to the market. We are losing, of course, almost 12% globally of the food that we produce, food waste and really food loss. And we see the investment, the effort and the resources that we are really putting to produce the food that at the end of the day we lose it because of lack of really access to the market. So we have to invest on that, and I couldn't agree more with you, Edie, that really the free trade agreement that we have signed is an opportunity that we really have to take advantage of it, see how we interconnect, how we exchange, what are really the needs, and of course provide the incentives to the farmers. And I go back again really to the Food System Summit and really the pathways, because they are very strong, and again we have to walk the talk. The decisions that we take, we have to make sure that we really implement them. Of course, when we look at the challenges that we face, the reports, the estimation now are really showing that in Kenya we will have around, actually we already have 4.1 million of people that are really food insecure because of the impact of climate change, droughts. Of course, we are talking about pests. It was just last month that there was an eruption of the African armyworm that is again, of course, destroying crops. So all those things, we have to address them. And that's why I'm again really bringing the resilience building that is really so important, and that again was really captured in the national dialogues also that took place in Kenya when we were discussing the Food System Summit. So I would say that really let's walk the talk.
We need to walk the talk.
The opportunities are there.
Yes.
And if there is a will, there is a way.
There is a way. That's fantastic. I come back to what you have very well said here. There are so many stressors. Climate change is one. The pests, for maize, for example, fall armyworm. We have many other pests and diseases which have occurred actually or exacerbated by climate change. But we have also global crises happening in, like the pandemic, which almost stopped all the activities, and we have the war at global level, which have impact at thousands of miles away, in addition to our own crisis on the African continent. But we have also disconnection in the food system on African continent, where we have producers who are disconnected from the consumers, and we have in the middle there pockets of people who sometimes are like taking the advantage of the disconnection and having the benefit for themselves. With all the circumstances and the technology coming in, the knowledge, the youth coming in with digital agriculture now, and new technologies, including biotechnologies, coming in to prevent those very deep fall of the agricultural production. With all that, very quickly and in clear term, where do you see agriculture, food security, food production, and the economic development of our population through improved agriculture? Where do you see our continent in terms of resilience, in terms of economic development in the next 10, 20 years?
The truth is a lot of promise in terms of there's a lot of potential in agriculture. But let us be realistic on what we are dealing with now so that we can look at how we want it to be and how we can do it. We are looking at a situation whereby agriculture, most of the food system in Africa is produced through the subsistence way, whereby farmers, just small-scale farmers with who are poor farmers producing for the majority of the people. They're using technology which is outdated. It's not because they don't want to adopt technology. It's not because they don't receive those messages on their phones about what is selling where. But the truth is, they are incapacitated because of their income levels. And that is where we have to start. Farmers' diversifications in terms of livelihood and building resilience in that. Because unless a farmer has got something to spare, it's only when they can wait until the prices are better for them to sell so that they can improve their income through agriculture. But if we can find ways of improving these livelihoods, and also again, it's until the farmers got something to share that they can adopt it to even a better farming technology, not just the donkeys doing the farming and pulling the plows and things like that. Until they have got some money to spare, can they really invest in technology and invest in all this? Improving livelihoods and building resilience in livelihoods, improving income levels at the basic. That can really help in terms of improving agriculture. Yes.
And that can bring us to a better situation than what we are talking about.
Yes.
Do you have some ideas, Ambassador?
I would say that what we are really seeing with the soaring of food prices and fuel and really impacting on our population, in our communities, particularly on farmers, that really they become more and more vulnerable, is a wake-up call. A wake-up call to really invest, to provide those necessary really incentives, whenever necessary, even to caution with really social protection policies, safety nets, so that really the farmers, they can really cope with those with this situation. I'm really very optimistic, and we should really be very optimistic. When I talk about, of course, wake-up call, actually, to walk that talk, to implement. We really have all the policies. When I talk about Kenya, really the policies are there. Of course, there is where more are really needed. We need, of course, to upscale what we are already doing. There are so many initiatives, so many projects that we see that are really contributing to that really increase income, and they have been really so impactful in rural areas and so on. Let's really upscale them. Upscaling is really very important. Let's really expand them so that until more and more people can really benefit. Let's really pass this knowledge to the communities, to the really rural farmers. Training is so crucial so that they can really adopt those best practices in order really to be sustainable in production, sustainable in what they do, resistant to the climate change. So I would say that really the optimism is there. We should not really lose that. What we should do is really continue working together, harness, of course, we didn't talk much about the private sector here, but I should really bring also private sector, open, really create those enabling environments where really partnership can really play a very important role to take us to the next level.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you, Joe. Here, let me take again some of the key messages which came from your submissions. First of all, the prices of food and other commodities like fuel are very much increasing. And that has brought more challenges to our population. And those challenges include food insecurity. We have more people who are now hungry on our continent because of the situation. But why? It is first that we had some other issues in our agricultural production, but which were compounded by two global crises, like the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine-Russia war. And it came through the disruption of the supply chain. And this now calls for a number of actions that we need to take as Africans. First, we need to transform our agriculture so that we can produce more of what we need to consume. You talked about 2/3. So change in the technology, change in the incentive we give to the farmers, upscale the good practices, put incentives or inputs, make them available for the producers so that we can have more. Improve our our chain supply so that the producers can reach the consumers without the current hassles that we have. I think that will now bring a bit of solution to that, a bit of reliance to our own farmers and our agricultural sector. There are many actions and transformation. It needs many hands and many brains to come into that. And here we talked about gender, with more women empowered to do the work, but the youth coming in and contributing to this effort, but also the private sector bringing in resources so that they can play a key role at a certain level of this value chain. I think it is a call that COVID-19 and the war have made to the Africans that we have the potential to feed ourselves, but we have not walked the talk from the policies to the action that needed to be taken. And for our leadership, it is a call that we have a role to play as decision makers to give all those inputs that are needed to transform the potential into tangible gains, into return. I cannot have time to thank you, ladies, Ambassador and Professor. I think it was a very important and useful conversation here, which needs to be continued at other platforms so that we all understand our role and commit to play it fully so that we take Africans to a higher level in terms of sufficiency in the food they take and also in nutrition of their families, their children, who constitute the future of our continent. I thank you very much. Viewers, thank you very much for following our conversation. And I invite you to the next KIKAO session. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.
Now you know, the Russia-Ukraine war, COVID-19 pandemic, or any of the global shocks, they actually matter to you. And that's the understanding we seek to give on KIKAO every week. Thank you for watching the show. Until next time, my name is Joe Ageo.